We know it can be very expensive to have kids, she explained. She didn't want financial anxiety to be holding me back. My dad, nodding beside her, looked embarrassed at the intrusion, as much into my finances as into my sex life. That won't be necessary, I cut her off before she could complete her pitch. It wasn't that I was too proud to take their money. I was still freeloading on their Verizon family plan. And I knew that I was very fortunate to have supportive parents with resources to help me. Many are not so lucky. But the truth was that I had hardly gotten far enough with any deliberations to consider the practical implications of having children, let alone the actual costs. My parents were grasping for an explanation about why I wasn't having kids, why I seemed to be barely even thinking about it, and settled on the one they felt equipped to address. But I didn't even know what the explanation was myself. All I knew for certain was that I wasn't yet there, wherever there was. Becoming a parent, for those of us on the outside, can seem less like a transition and more like throwing yourself off a cliff. When my friends and I talked about the prospect of having children, we spoke about it with casual detachment, as if conducting a thought experiment populated by people who were not us but total strangers. Well into our early 30s, when the conversation veered closer to our lives as we were actually living them, we retreated to a familiar place of uncertainty. I don't know, maybe one day. I guess. It depends. We'll see. No matter how demanding all our attachments, to our one-bedroom apartments, our mid-level jobs, our romantic partners, felt tenuous and temporary. Adding a child into the mix was practically unthinkable. Something about parenthood seemed inimical to my existence. I suspected it would change me so much that I'd become unrecognizable to myself. I worried that everything I enjoyed or that made me a halfway interesting person would recede beyond my reach, that I'd never be able to finish a book again. We all said that if we had kids, we would somehow make it work, but no one really believed the half-hearted propaganda. How do you figure out how to throw yourself off a cliff? Perhaps this is why more and more American millennials are experiencing vertigo as we look over the ledge. Many in our generation are waiting to have kids until later in life, or are forgoing it altogether. Even before COVID-19 hit, millennials were having fewer children than any cohort in recent history before them. After declining steadily for 30 years, the national fertility rate reached an all-time low in 2020. Though the pandemic was a volatile time for fertility rates, falling sharply during the lockdown before making a slight recovery, they have dropped below pre-pandemic levels once more, and demographic analysts aren't optimistic that they will recover over the long term. People are not just waiting longer to have kids or having fewer of them. There is mounting evidence that more are choosing to have none at all. Rates of childlessness have fluctuated over the past 50 years, but they are generally trending up. More than 1 in 7 women between the ages of 40 and 44 had no biological children in 2018, up from 1 in 10 in 1976. And according to a 2021 Pew Research report, 44% of non-parents between the ages of 18 and 49 say they do not expect to have children eventually, an increase of 7 percentage points from 2018, suggesting that rates of childlessness are unlikely to decrease in the future. Bringing up declining birth rates at best comes off as gauche, and at worst can smack of demographic panic and the most dangerous kind of racist ideology. In recent years, the topic has been so thoroughly co-opted by the far right that one could be forgiven for thinking it belongs strictly in alt-right forums dedicated to the Great Replacement theory, not in serious conversations about